Hello, everyone. You are asking Ashley. And today's question is, how do I prepare for a recession? Just to give you a little bit of background on me, my name is Ashley. I am a mom, a wife, entrepreneur, mompreneur, and I have a few different businesses. I have a real estate business with my husband where I buy and manage property. We also manage other construction projects. And so I'm an entrepreneur. I do a little of this, a little of that, all in real estate. I'm actually a mortgage loan originator. So I originate loans for my fellow investors or first-time home buyers or any type of home buyer. So that is what I do. And my experience and my education is I worked in a Fortune 500 company. I worked with a team of financial advisors. I was on a sales team, and I was a licensed investment advisor. My license recently lapsed, but I was a licensed investment advisor. I had my life insurance license, and now obviously have my mortgage loan officer license. So held a few licenses. I went to college, got my MBA in finance. So a lot of degrees, a lot of licenses. And that is my strong suit. On this channel, we talk about relationships, mindset, and finances. But finances is by far my strong suit because obviously I have the education and the experience, the career experience. So that's why I want to get into speaking about finance a little bit more on this channel versus relationships, because obviously I am married, so I have some experience with relationships, but I am still learning every day, and I'm learning with you guys. Finance, I'm by far more accomplished in that arena. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. How do we prepare for a recession? As some of you might have heard, read, or whatever, we have an expected recession coming. I honestly feel like we are in a recession because, obviously a lot of people lost their jobs, a lot of people are getting laid off by huge companies, and the prices are going sky high with everything. So it's like we don't have money, but things are more expensive, and there's no middle ground right now. So I feel like we are in a recession. So I'm going to talk about some of the things that I have done during this time, this expected recession time. So in a previous video, I spoke about becoming a mompreneur, some of the things that I did, and a lot of the things that I did in that aspect did help with the pending recession. And for my family, again, I have an MBA in finance. I run all of the finances for my family as well as the business. So I make all the financial decisions. My husband, obviously, he's a breadwinner, so he has a say-so, and he's the head of the household and leader, but he really, truly respects and leans on my expertise in that arena. So I do all the budgeting and paying all the bills and all that good stuff. So some of the things that I've done: number one, cut down your expenses. So, and people think, they look to let me not drink Starbucks coffee, like the little $5 drink. Let me just make coffee at home with my Keurig. Yeah, that's great, but you need to tackle the big expenses. So what I did in my family is looked at our biggest expenses. So my biggest expense was our housing expense and my children's schooling or childcare. So I was able to cut both of those. The housing expense, obviously, I live in a home, I have a family and I have a mortgage on it. So there's not much as far as we don't have the option to have a roommate and things like that. And I'll get into more of the single options to prepare for a recession. But as far as someone that's in my situation, you have children, you have a husband, you have a family, you're not moving into somebody. Unless it's a friend that you feel comfortable with, that's obviously an option for you. But with me, that's not an option. I'm not moving to another place, and I'm not moving someone into my place. So what I did to cut my expenses, and that's something that you really need to look at, is I refinanced my home to a lower interest rate. And I was also able to refinance out of my private mortgage insurance. So I had enough equity in my home that I was able to, get that off of my mortgage payment. And if any of you don't know what private mortgage insurance is, maybe I'll talk about that in a later video explaining the mortgage loan process and some of the things that you should prepare for when purchasing a home. That's another video, but today I'm just going to keep it general as far as finances. So that was something that I did, and I was able to cut a few $100s off of our mortgage payment. And also with that, we decided that we were going to move forward with paying off a house. So we have a plan in place to pay off our house in the next 4 years, and that's something that we're doing. So we're saving that $300, but we're also utilizing the savings to pay off that amount. So in the future, we won't have to worry about having a mortgage payment. We'll just have to obviously worry about insurance and property taxes. So that's something that I'm doing. And that's another thing. You need to tackle any debt that you can tackle with the highest interest, obviously. So if you have credit card debt, you should tackle that. You shouldn't tackle some student loans is only like 6%. And then you have credit card debt that might be 25% interest. Obviously, you want to tackle those high interest rate payments because right now, you want to have as much free credit as possible because you never know what's going to happen with your job. And I know a lot of people experience layoffs and things and uncertainty as far as jobs when it came to the beginning of the pandemic. This is going to be very, very similar. Obviously corporations have budgets and, board members and things that they have to answer to. And if they're not able to recoup a lot of the money that they, lost during the pandemic, then they're obviously going to have to make budget cuts, especially with a recession pending. So you have to be very, very aware of that. Don't feel super comfortable in your job, so cut as many expenses as possible. If you can look at your finances and see some of the look at the highest expenses you have. So what is your highest, expenses you have? So that obviously, like I said, it could be a car. So if you have a car, maybe you should pay that off. It could be student loan, but like I said, you have to then get into the nitty gritty. Okay, I have high student loans. However, the interest rate for these student loans are only 6%. And I have credit card debt, which are far less, maybe $30,000, $40,000, but the interest rate is 25%, and I'm paying so much a month just on interest. Then you should pay off your credit card because obviously that will be credit available to you in the case something does happen. So make sure you do that. And also, you need to look into however you can to make more money now. If you have any type of side hustle you can do, if you have any, second job you can do, you should, especially during the holiday season, because a lot of the jobs hire, holiday work and they need extra hands, so you should definitely take advantage of that. I would lean more so on the side hustle entrepreneurial things, because with that, you're going to be taxed less because all the expenses you incur from that income, you can offset your income. So you can deduct all of those expenses that you have to pay for. So I always lean towards side hustles, but if that's just not your niche, that's not something you're comfortable with, then definitely get a second job, try to get that extra money and, save and put it to paying off high interest debt. So I think if you have a lot of high interest debt, you should just be pouring your money onto the debt. But if once you see yourself coming down to 5,000 or less, you should definitely start building your emergency fund. So saving is definitely important, but you should definitely tackle debt as much as possible, immediately, because obviously if you have a credit card, once you tackle that, that balance, then you still have that open line of credit. So even if something happens, you lose your job, whatever, your car, whatever happens, you can still use your credit card if need be. You have an emergency in that way, and you don't necessarily need the cash, because if you really want to dig into finances, your cash is truly losing value because of inflation. So that's, again, a whole other video that's more into finance, and we're not going to get into the nitty gritty of finance today. So how do I prepare for the recession when I am single? So when I was single and I wasn't preparing for a recession, this was a few years ago, I wanted to save money to purchase a home. I moved in with my cousin. So it was a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. It was nice. It was a nice apartment building. You know, it had a security system and it was in a good community. We had a pool. So everything was nice and it was up to my standards. However, I was saving $300 a month. Now, that's not a significant amount of money, $300 a month. But, I mean, if you're not able to save it in another way, if you're not able to, you know, find another job, that was significant. I saved so much money for that short period of time living with my cousin because she took care of some of the utilities, I took care of some of the utilities, and then with the monthly rent for that apartment, it was a little bit less than the rent for a 1-bedroom apartment where I was staying. So I ended up saving about $300 a month. And just, I don't know, just having someone in the apartment, like I went out less, even though I wasn't going out that much to begin with, but I went out less, you know, she would cook, and it was just, you know, more of a community, and you're able to obviously save in that way. So I definitely suggest that if you are single and able to move or have someone live with you, definitely take that route. And again, you want it to be safe, you want it to be secure, you don't want, you know, to be desperate, but if, you know, you have a safe option, definitely look into that. And a lot of you, if you're into real estate, you've probably heard of house hacking. So a lot of people say this is not a good time to buy houses, and I don't necessarily agree. Obviously, the prices of houses are going down. If you feel like you have the savings now and you can buy a house, I would suggest someone buy a house because if you can have someone move in with you at your new home, they're paying you so to offset the mortgage, but also they're paying into your equity. So when you're renting an apartment, that money is just going to the landlord and that's it. However, even when you're paying your mortgage, yeah, you're paying interest and you're paying property tax, but you are also paying yourself because you're paying yourself in equity. You're taking off a little bit off that loan every single month. And as you know, you get further down the line in your loan, then you'll be putting more towards the principal amount. So definitely, if you could purchase a home right now, there's so many great opportunities in the market. I'm obviously a real estate investor, so I look at the market every single day, and I'm also a mortgage loan officer, so I see what other people are buying, and people are buying when they could afford it. Now, if you can't afford it, there's nothing you can do. But if you can afford it and you just feel like, you know, I want to wait till something happens, do not wait till something happens. Definitely purchase a home sooner than later if you have the ability to do so. So that's how I will prepare for a recession. Now, there are some little things that you can do. Obviously, like I said, you can stop going out to eat and stop getting that coffee from Starbucks. I think those things are super important. But those things are like really minor. And obviously when the rubber hits the road, you're going to stop doing that. But if that's not something that is really needed and you have like an emergency fund and your credit card is not crazy and stuff like that, like to me, I feel like if that gives you joy and that's something that, you know, boosts you in the morning, then go ahead and do it. Maybe what you can do is cut back. So maybe, okay, I don't drink it every single day or Monday through Friday. Maybe I just treat myself every Friday or every hump day to get me through the week. Maybe I just treat myself to, you know, a Starbucks frappe latte, whatever. I don't drink Starbucks. I don't know the grande, whatever. But definitely, you know, you don't want to put yourself back yourself in a corner of starvation. Because if you know anything about starvation or watching a dog, if you starve a dog, as soon as you put anything in front of the dog, they're just going crazy. So you don't want to back yourself into a corner where you're so starving for something, then you get the opportunity to get it and you go crazy and you spend $1,000 shopping one day just because, you know, you haven't, you know, been to the mall in however long and now you're like going crazy. So definitely don't do that. But I also want you to be very, very aware of looking at your bank account. So my husband, for example, he does not look at his bank account. I look at our bank account every single day, and most days, multiple times a day. So I want to be super aware what we're spending money on, where we could, you know, maybe we don't really need that at this time. And I'm like super aware of our budget and things like that. So to get yourself in a habit of, you know, cutting expenses, the first thing you need to do is be aware of your expenses. Because a lot of people, they spend their money and they don't even realize where their money went at the end of the week. And I think that's the biggest mindset shift that we have to do, because some people are like, okay, if I don't see it, then whatever, it doesn't exist. So they're just swiping that credit card, and not looking at the statement. You have to sit down and look at your bank account, look at your statement, and see what you're spending money on. Because a lot of things, sometimes you'll notice something, you're like, wait, what's that? Like, no, I could cut that without a problem. That subscription, I don't need it. There's a lot of different, applications and things you can get on your phone that can track things like that. But honestly, you should be looking over your finances every single day and, making sure you know exactly where your money is. And I have another video on some steps of how to become rich and things like that. But just to prepare for the recession, you should obviously budget and do things like that. But definitely start making those little steps to prepare, because you never know what will happen. People lose their jobs like this. And, you just, if you're not prepared, like, what is it? The not preparing is preparing to fail, something like that. But if you are not prepared for something to happen, it is devastating. Right now, I'm super prepared for the recession. I'm honestly excited about the recession because I'm a real estate investor, so I know there's going to be so many deals, and it's going to be definitely an opportunity to make so much money during this time, because I'm a long-term real estate investor, and I know that, it's going to be great discounts on properties that will eventually go back up. So that's getting into real estate investing. But for a normal, everyday person, just be super aware of what you spend your money on. That is the tip, really. Be super aware of what you spend your money on, and just kind of like have a conversation with yourself on what you could cut back on. And like I said, it might not be very important for you to cut back on those little things today. Okay, $5, $10, $20, maybe $30 at Starbucks a week. That might not be important right now, but just be aware that, okay, I'm spending $30 a week. Maybe I should just cut that down to 15 or something like that. Or, you don't have to totally eliminate things, but just being able to cut back makes a huge difference. But the real thing you want to do is cut back on those larger expenses. For me, it was childcare. I did that. My son will be home with me and we'll be spending time with grandma. So I have that ability because my mom has recently moved closer. So I have, that to lean on. But some of you just don't. You need your kid in childcare. You don't work remote. I work remotely, so he could be home with me some days. It's not an issue. So definitely make the changes that you have the opportunity to make, and make sure you look at this as an opportunity. When I cut expenses, I look at it as an opportunity to do something else with my money. So, okay, I might not be able to eat out every day, but I'm able to pay off all of my debt. That, to me, that's something like debt. I don't like debt. So getting that weight off my shoulder is like, to me. It might be something else for you. Maybe you're able to save a certain amount so you could pay cash for your car for the first time, or you're able to save something small, save amount of money that you're able to pay for a vacation in cash. That might make you feel good. Whatever makes you feel good, when you sacrifice whatever thing and save that money, think of it like that. I am giving myself an opportunity to do this. So that is all for today. Thank you so much for coming and chatting with me. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time on Asking Ashley.